Anatomy is loved or hated, especially by medical students. With a variety of muscles, nerves, vessels, lymphatics, or even ligaments, it becomes a mess of structures that intertwine with one another. As a student, it makes it even more difficult when lectures are provided are just in 2D and you feel disorientated. However, there is a helpful app called Complete Anatomy and you can find it on your tablet. So throughout, I'm actually going to explain how I use Complete Anatomy in its basics, but how it can be a major benefit of memorizing, understanding the anatomy to complete your learning. So what is Complete Anatomy? Well, it's an application and you can download it on your tablet or your laptop. And it provides a full human body explanation with all the structures, whether it be the innervation, arterial supply, functional, clinical relevance. So let's say I have an anatomy lecture, such as the hand. I will construct the entire hand and I'll do the same again with the leg, the thorax, the brain, whatever it be. So let's dive in and I'll show you how I use it. So let's download Complete Anatomy on the iPad. Once we've done so, we'll open up the app and we'll sign in. As you can see, I've logged in and we'll open up the models and we should have a skeleton in front of us. Before we do any anatomy, what I like to do is start from a clean sheet, emptiness, and I'll remove it from the skeletons as such. Like building blocks, we need to set the foundation, the bones. So let's search up femur. And as you can see, we have the femur. I have no clue about the femur. It's just a bone, but it has surfaces, landmarks, and parts of the femur. So if we click on the bone here, we can see the parts, such as the greater trochanter. We can also see the surfaces, such as the intercondylar line. And we can also see the landmarks, for example, the adductor tubercle. Right now, I'm looking at the tibia, and what I've highlighted in green is the tibial tuberosity. Sometimes what I like to do is screenshot it and then add it on my cards on my Anki so that I can remember the landmarks and surfaces of bones, such as the tibia. The lower limb has lots of muscles, like a lot of muscles. So we need to split it up in a way to make it easier for ourselves. And we'll do it through the compartments. So we're going to have a look at the anterior compartment first and see how we can help to use Complete Anatomy. One of the muscles of the anterior compartment is the tibialis anterior. So let's search it up. Here it is under the muscular system. And we can use the description to see quick facts about it. For example, its origin at the lateral condyle, or its action where it dorsiflexes the foot. If you want to see the action, we can click on the motion. And here we can click on the videos to see foot dorsiflexion or foot inversion. And here, as we prepare one of the muscular motions, where we can view the dorsiflexion of the foot and see how the foot moves when the tibialis anterior contracts. The anterior compartment of the lower limb is innervated by the deep fibular nerve, and we can search it up right now. And we can find this nerve posteriorly to the anterior compartment muscles. Complete Anatomy will show us the branch of the nerve, but suppose we want to see where it comes from. Well then, we can click Origin Path. And as we can see, we can highlight the nerves found. So as you can see, it comes from the common fibular nerve, which then leads up to the sciatic nerve on top. We also know that the anterior compartment muscles are supplied by the anterior tibial artery, which we can search up right now. And once again, just like the nerves, we can find the origin path of it as well. we can do the exact same thing with the veins as well, except this time it is considered as the drainage. Now let's look at the posterior superficial compartment. Here we have the gastrocnemius, here we have soleus, and here we have plantaris on top. Some muscles are too big and they cover over other muscles. For example, the gastrocnemius is superficial to the soleus muscle. In this case, we can fade the medial head of the gastrocnemius, as shown. And in this time, we can have a better picture of the origin of the soleus muscle from the side. Some muscles are quite small, for example, plantaris. So to have a better picture of it and where it is in relation to other structures, we may choose to fade all the other structures. So for example, we can click Fade Others. And here we can see the plantaris much more clearly, where the tendon attaches right at the bottom. The lower limb is symmetrical, meaning the left and the right side will have the same structures. So it's a good habit to visualize the structures on both sides. In case of the lower limb, we have the posterior superficial and deep compartment. So here we can see the superficial muscles on the left limb and we can see the superficial muscles on the right limb. But in the case of seeing the deep compartment, we should exploit the use of the right limb to view it and use the left limb to see the superficial muscles. So here, the right limb, we can see tibialis posterior. By completing the muscles, nerves and vessels, we can begin to view contents of structures. For example, the popliteal fossa. Here we can see in a 3D view, but the nerves, as such, are more superficial than the veins and the arteries. And we can also see that the nerve is most lateral compared to the artery. When you finish your content, you can add labels to your structures. So if you click the Tools button here, you can click Label. And I like to label things that I may forget or are hidden. For example, plantaris. When you're done with your model, you can actually save it for later. So click the Save Screen button over here, and you can enter your title, so test, and you can add your screen location. So for example, I've got my own screens where I can share my screens to my friends so they can use as well. And I can attach it to a filter, so I'll put it in my lower limb and save. Here is an example of my own screen. This is of the gluteus maximus and thigh region. And you can able to view other structures, such as the femoral triangle, where you have sartorius, pectineus, and the contents of the femoral artery as easily viewed. Don't get me wrong, making models such as these is quite therapeutic. And if I want to make anatomy easier for myself, I've got to enjoy it. So I hope this video has helped, and I hope you enjoyed it as well.